You were on mute. I couldn't hear you. But yeah, we'll just wait a few moments.
No rush. I said I just wanted to set the camera up and be ready. That's all.
Okay.
No problem. Take your time.
Sorry, while we wait, perhaps you and Manisha can introduce yourselves.
Hi, Manisha.
Hello, ma'am.
Hi. Just say hi. Yeah. Great to see Manisha and Saurav and
Charu.
yes, Charu. Okay. Excellent. Lovely.
Thank you. Yes, Charu is here. She says, we are very, very glad that this is happening. We are so excited that we are finally in this Zoom session, which we are planning for so long. How about we, start at 6:05? We just request that people tend to, join us a little late. So we'll start a little 5 minutes, 7 minutes after 6. And interpreters will be switching, ma'am. Every 20 minutes, Manisha and Saurav will take turns. They will manage that themselves. Thank you.
Perfect, Charu. Thank you. Yeah. And Saurav and Manisha. Yeah.
Kavita, would you like to navigate through the deck yourself, or would you prefer someone?
No, you do it from that end. Yeah, because
Yes, sure.
I'm working off my phone and it's
Okay.
fine. I'll tell you,
Sure.
there's no real, I'll figure it out. I'll ask you guys to shift to the
move
next
forward.
slide.
Sure,
Or whatever.
sure,
Yeah.
sure. That's
Sure,
Thank
no
you.
problem.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. That is great.
Sorry. While we wait, Saurav, can you please ask maybe a few participants can tell us where they're joining us from? Maybe just in chat, type out names of city and town they're joining us from. Thanks.
Okay, all set. Hello, 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 everyone. Thank you so much. We are so happy. There's so many people who are here with us. We welcome each and everyone. So we'll quickly have the introduction session so that we have Kavita ma'am here and we will welcome her. So we have an exciting program for you and it's a great opportunity for us. And I would like to introduce myself. I am Charu. I work with DWT, that is Deaf Women 2. I'm sure you have seen the posts on our social media handles. DWT works towards feminism. We want to talk about the ideals of feminism. We want to impress upon and talk about the equality of women and men. We want to ensure that they're role models, women who have stood their ground, who have worked, who have proved themselves. There's so many stories, but we need to more. We need to know more about these role models. So it has to be accessible. We create accessible stories. At the same time, we want more deaf women who become role models, and we want to bring their stories out. It's so nice that so many of you are here with us today on the occasion of International Women's Day. And we are so grateful to have Kavita Krishnan D with us. And we would also like to thank everyone who's helped coordinate this event. Kavita ji has been so prolific in her work. She has with her busy schedule, she has accepted to give us our time. We are so thankful to her. So this is going to be a really, really special presentation. And we are going to talk about feminism and feminist approach, equality of men and women. And you must have seen that our videos, go on to basically we talk about a lot of these things. So you might be thinking it's against men, it is some kind of a powers thing, but we are talking about equality. It's not against men and other people of the community. We don't want to take advantage. But anyway, these further things are going to be clarified by Kavita Di herself. Are you interested? We really request everyone to pay focus. This is going to be a great, intense time. We'll have 30 minutes of presentation by Kavita Di. And after that, you guys all are free to ask questions with her. And Kavita Di is very, very happy to answer your questions. Hopefully, all of us will have an exciting time. Thank you so much. And yes, we also want to inform we have sign language interpreters making this event accessible. So we hopefully will have a very smooth session. Great. I think we are all set. We are ready. We are so excited. And we would like to welcome Tithya first before we can hand it over to Kavita Krishnanti. Yeah, Tithya, would you like to take first 2 minutes and then hand it over to Kavita Di? Or we directly go on to Kavita?
No, please go ahead. Please go ahead. Maybe towards the end.
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
So
And
should I go?
Kavita Di, the stage is all yours.
Okay. Thank you so much, Charu, and thank you, Tithya. And just adjust so that I have. Yeah, okay, that's great. What I thought was that today what we could do was to just have a discussion rather than a presentation as such. So I'll just start and let's see how it goes. So 8th March is International Women's Day. And usually on that day, I don't know about you guys, but I know that I often get a barrage of messages in my inbox and WhatsApp chats and everything. And the messages often look like, can I have the first slide, please? First slide.
Yeah. Pallavi?
One second, I think somebody is speaking. Let me just mute that first. Yeah. So,
Great. Thank you, Pallavi. Yeah, so you can see this message. You can see this, it's a typical kind of WhatsApp message that we usually get on Women's Day in India. I'm guessing you can read it. It says in Sanskrit and then in Hindi, and I'll translate what it says into English. So it says, Yatra naryastu pujyante ramante tatra devata. And then it says in Hindi, जहां नारी की पूजा होती है वहां देवता बसते हैं. So can I have the next slide? So if you can see this, I know it's not very clear, but because it's kind of big and the image takes up a lot of space, but you can see that there's a goddess and beneath it are the same words, the Sanskrit words, and beneath it is an English translation where women are honored. There the gods are happy, pleased or happy. And where they are not honored, no sacred right yields rewards. So this is from the Manusmriti. And basically, I just gave it as an example of one of the very common things that we get on Women's Day, we hear on Women's Day. And I know that in my school, we would be asked to write essays about this kind of thing and all of that. So I just wanted to start with knowing what you guys think about these messages. Anyone wants to tell me whether are they familiar? Do they get this kind of message? What are your thoughts about the main message here, which is that when women are worshipped, where women are worshipped, that's a good place. That's where the gods are happy, and all of that. So how do you feel about being told that you are worthy of worship, you are worthy of honor? So would you like to just I'd like to just hear some responses. Yeah. Just feel free to just say whatever comes into your mind.
The Date Mata, the Nayanada, ma'am. Yeah, she says she feels good.
Okay. Okay. And anyone else?
Ma'am, can you repeat the question?
I just want to know that when you get a message that says where women are worshipped, that's a good country, that's a good place. I just want to know your thoughts about, the message saying women should be worshipped, women should be honored, and, that's what Women's Day is about. So I just want to hear anything else that may strike you about this message. You may have heard it before. If you've heard it before, have you thought about it? Or if you're hearing it right now, what are your thoughts about it? Just the first thing that comes into your mind. Do you like it? Do you have any questions about it? Whatever you think. It's not a correct answer, wrong answer thing. It's just whatever comes into your mind when you hear you as a woman need to, you are deserving of worship. If you are worshipped, that's a good society. If you're not worshipped, that's not a good society. Yes, Anita, do you want to say something?
So when we mention that, women are treated like God, it could, also mean that it's a good thing that your place can be saved from emergencies, catastrophes, if you respect that person. I mean, I don't know exactly.
Yeah.
But again,
Right.
it basically means that women, when they are the source of birth and progeny, and if you respect them, it will be all good and all of that,
Right.
something like that.
Right. You have it right, Anita. Absolutely. Thank you for participating in that. If anyone else, Nitesh, I noticed, has written something in the chat box, which I will read out in a little bit. Nitesh has said, well, these are just words that men say. These are basically not, they exploit women and then they talk about worshiping them, etc. So I just want to put this in a little bit more context. Generally, when you hear what you are saying, when you hear that message, it sounds like a really good thing. Okay, it certainly sounds like, well, this was written in ancient India. This was written in the Manusmriti, which is a, ancient Hindu scriptural document. So it's a really good thing, right? So I just want to show you another thing, that the same text, the same Manusmriti, what does it say? See, here it's talking about women as goddesses. What does it say about you and I, ordinary women who are not goddesses? We are not divine. We are human beings. We make mistakes. We, try out new things. Not everything we do will be liked by everyone. We certainly can't save people from, famine or drought or whatever, because we are also human beings, right? So what does the Manusmriti say about actual living women who are not goddesses? So he says treat women like goddesses. But what does he actually say about social relationships of women? So can I have the next slide, Pallavi? Thank you. So at this slide, you can see, don't bother about the first part, because the first sentence is basically the same sentence that you have seen. There's a quotation from the Manusmriti, and it says that it is the very nature of women to corrupt men here on earth. For that reason, circumspect men, that means, careful men, sensible men, do not get careless and wanton among wanton women. And wanton, the word basically means loose women. Okay, women who are not bound by society's rules. They do what they like. They do what they want. You do what you want, you're wanton. Okay, so that is another thing that the Manusmriti says. Next slide, please. So you already saw the previous quotation from the Manusmriti, which basically says something about women's nature. So it says that women by nature are, deceitful, they may trap men, and they corrupt men. And so you have to be constantly careful around women. And, this is not just in the Manusmriti. If anybody is a student of English literature, you may know that, in Shakespeare's play Hamlet, Hamlet says something similar about women, about how you can never believe women, and women are basically untrustworthy, and they are untrustworthy because their desires basically are so high that they corrupt themselves and, along with them, any men, right? So, okay. Now you have another quotation from the Manusmriti, which says that a girl, a young woman, or even an old woman should not do anything independently, even in her own house. In childhood, a woman should be under her father's control, in youth, under her husband's, and when her husband is dead, under her son's. So basically, women should never be left free, independent. They should always be under the control of a man, namely father, husband, or son. Okay. So yeah, I'd like to just get back to the discussion. You now saw two other quotations from the Manusmriti on which you don't, which don't sound quite the same, do they? Do they sound very worshipful of women? Because if you're going to say that women by nature are corrupt and they're out to corrupt men, is it very respectful? Does it honor women? Ask yourself that, right? And then there's all this about how women should never be free. You should always be controlled by men. So what do you think about that? Now that you saw that the same text that talks about worship, it also talks about, actual women, living women in her real lives as being people who need to be controlled. So what do you think of that? Any suggestions? Ebony has left a message in the chat box, which I'll read. But I just want to ask any of you, feel free to step in, feel free to say whatever you think about it. Do you agree with that idea? Do you think that women do need this kind of control? Or do you think that women by nature, are kind of immoral or corrupt? What do you think? What do you think, what do you think about it? And what do you think, the text, the Manusmriti text is actually saying? Just whatever you feel like, you can tell me. This is not a test. This is just us talking. So Ebony has asked, under her son's care, and what if she doesn't have a son? Under whose care will she be? Ebony, it doesn't say care. It says control. So yeah, it says control, not care. Yeah, Charu, go ahead, please. Yeah.
Great, thank you so much. We are, we have already started discussing and basically setting the stage about the misconceptions which basically are here. So you see the alternate or the opposite kind of lines or situations here. First, it says that you worship women, and then the other, you're saying that women have to be controlled. So what Kavita B is actually asking is for you to realize what you basically feel about these two contrasting things, and we can share openly. I just wanted to reiterate so that people know and can then start answering. So we already have hands. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Charu.
Yeah.
Yes, we have Roses here.
Roses.
And she says, thank you so much, ma'am, for your question. I understand what you are asking us, that the first thing was that age related, it's not related to age. Females, every age have to be controlled. When they're a child, their father. After that, when they're married, they have to be controlled by their husband. But, the children also, they have to take care. And I would like to ask you, I see all around the world in India or everywhere in the world. Forever, women have always been subjugated, in case of family name, family rules. And the same thing, and same women are also, raped, assaulted sexually. We think that women getting educated will be able to be independent, but she gets married and then is relegated to probably a chef. Or even if she is not, work, if she's working, what she does is she has to work as well as put in that much of effort. And when she becomes old, then again she's at the mercy. So what marriage is basically a situation where the woman is stuck. She has to do what she has been told. And this is what I notice, family members are raping their own women, their own daughters, their own children. If they go out, they pile on so many ifs and buts on them. So women are not happy. Can't work at night, can't go out, can't get educated, can't follow your career. We feel imprisoned. And men, basically say that it's the women, their dressing is a problem. You basically, there can be issues. Don't you read the news? You have to be very careful of the people outside, be very particular of what you wear, cover yourselves. And women now, after this, we all have to be more careful. So with all of these extra, rules and whatever you can call them, women have to, for life, in a way, have some kind of a, they're stuck with this kind of a situation. Whereas we would request,
Absolutely.
we would want respect, integrity, independence.
Yes.
But yes, we want that equality, ma'am.
Thank you so much,
I wanted
Roses.
to share my opinions with you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. That was beautiful, Roses. Absolutely. And I'm so glad that you said all those things. And absolutely, you have set the stage for what I wanted to say. And is there anyone who has anything else to say about the Manusmriti quote that we read? If anyone else had raised a hand and I missed it, then please go ahead. I think Ms. Date wants to say something, right? Yes, Date, ma'am, please go ahead. Yes.
Okay, so with your lecture, I got shocked with Manusmriti, the article which has been written over there. So that's the thing I would like to suggest here. When the woman is worshipped as a goddess, on 8th March, we have, the logo of the goddess. So we should spread it across that, women should be respected in every manner. Whenever we are spreading the logo related to the national women's
Day. See, what I wanted to suggest to you, thank you so much for your inputs. What I wanted to suggest to you was that, today, if we're going to be talking about, what 8th March represents and what is International Women's Day and what is basically feminism, feminist movement all about, then I think that the first thing to understand is that it's not about saying, oh, how wonderful women are. Okay, it's not about praising women, saying how great women are, kitne mahan hai, how wonderful they are, how they are goddesses in our lives, and so on and so forth, right? It is more about understanding, it's about saluting women who for hundreds of years have fought for equality And if you just put it in one sentence, what is this feminist movement all about? Not just the modern feminist movement, but even if you look at what, hundreds of years back, so many women have written or spoken or said, whatever little we have of their voices. If you were to say it in one sentence, and that sentence is this, that feminism is the radical idea that women are humans. Okay. Think about what that means. It basically means, it doesn't say, oh, feminism is the idea that women are better than men, women are so great that they deserve worship. It's not about praising women, whatever they do, and saying, oh, women's nature is so beautiful. Women's by nature, they are good people, they are gentle, they are nurturing, etc. It's not about that. Those are the things that, well, usually men say about women. And, at the same time that they say all those nice things, basically society as it has evolved, doesn't treat women as equal to men. So women may do the same work as men, but get paid half what men are paid. And this is true all over the world at all levels of work, all levels. So it could be a construction worker earning a daily wage, but a woman construction worker, even though she works as hard as the man, she's paid less than the man. But even at higher levels, you find that women are in good jobs. You think, oh, these are good jobs, but very often they are paid less than men. They get fewer promotions than men, and so on. So there is a whole system of inequality, and you can't get rid of inequality by saying, oh, let's just praise women and worship them and say how wonderful you are like goddesses. Because the women who are fighting, they are not saying we're like goddesses, treat me like a goddess. They are saying, treat me like a human being. Treat me like a human being. Allow me basically the same ordinary treatment that a man may enjoy. And it's like what Roses was saying, that a man doesn't have to think very often about stepping out of the house in the middle of the night, about how he is dressed. Oh, am I dressed correctly? What will people think about what I'm wearing? Because of what I'm wearing, will somebody say, oh, he is asking to be raped? He is basically asking for it, and he can't complain if somebody attacks him. He doesn't really have to think about those things. Most men don't have to think about those things, but women do, right? So what is this? It's about challenging. 8th March is about challenging that inequality and demanding not just equality, but the liberation of women from what we call patriarchy. So these are patriarchal chains or shackles. Of course, when we are talking about liberating women, we know that you can't just liberate one section of society. You can create a free society only when everyone is free. So, you have to challenge caste oppression. You have to challenge oppression on the basis of, sexual orientation or exploitation or oppression of transgender people or of religious minorities or of class, so workers being treated so badly and some few people in the world being so rich and having all the money. And although they do not work at all, right? They just inherit wealth. So it's about challenging all kinds of inequalities. It's about talking about liberating human beings. That's what feminism is at its best, right? So I just wanted to go to another example. Can we have the next slide, Pallavi? Thank you. Yeah, next one. Yeah. So this is, you can see what it says. It's a clipping from a newspaper some years ago. So it's about Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal and the statement that he made on Women's Day. Okay. So he said, he asked men to learn from women. He said he wants to make Delhi a city where every woman feels free and lives happily. And then he spoke about his mother and his wife. And he said that when I used to fight the corrupt system, my wife ran the house and my mother supported me. And then he says that today my message is for all the men of Delhi. It's admirable how easily and honestly women carry out all their responsibilities without any fuss. They go about their jobs while taking care of their families. I salute their rock solid tolerance. And then he says, yes, but men have to learn from women. You know, men, when they comment on a woman's clothes, when they assess her character, when they harass them, you know, when they're doing a wrong thing. And men who do not respect women outside can never respect women in their household. So this is a long message. And I just read it out to you to show you that basically it's not just some hundreds of years ago text like Manusmriti. Today also when you have people in government talking about women, and you have to learn to see a little bit between the lines, which means what? Which means, oh, you know, it sounds like a nice message and you want to smile and say, oh, thank you, and so nice, you know. But if you look a little bit more closely at what is being said, it's not really what women are saying. So on, you know, he's talking about International Women's Day, and he's saying, you know, let me concentrate on this one sentence which he said, where he said that women carry out their responsibilities without any fuss. And they go about their jobs while taking care of their families. And they don't complain, and they have rock solid tolerance. Okay. So, but 8th March is not about women being without fuss. It's not about women, you know, working and taking care of all the responsibilities without complaining. It is not about tolerating all kinds of bad things and suffering without complaint. 8th March is about women complaining loudly and not alone, you know, getting together, organizing and demanding equality, demanding that society must change its double standards towards women. So it is not about women, you know, silently suffering and serving from behind and, you know, doing their job and taking care of the house. And a men's job is not just to, you know, open their mouths on 8th March and say, oh, how wonderful women are for just quietly doing all these great things. And men, please treat women nicely. It's not about that. It isn't about that. It's about listening to what women are shouting from the rooftops. It's about listening to women's complaints. It's about telling women, we know you haven't been silently suffering. You have been speaking. You have been telling us what we have been doing wrong as a society. And it is time to listen to you, to learn from you, not how to suffer in silence, but to learn from you how we should be creating a much more equal society, and how you shouldn't have to take care of the house while your man does politics and, you know, fights outside the house. It shouldn't be like that. You shouldn't be burdened by all these responsibilities. These responsibilities are not your responsibilities alone. Taking care of children, taking care of the elderly, taking care of the house, these should not be women's responsibilities alone. They should be equally men's responsibilities. And women work outside the home, so do men. And both have jobs in the home also. So, you can share both things, right? It's not that if women work outside, then they must also manage to do the household work and just, do it quietly, like Mr. Kejriwal said. So I wanted to say this simply to say that just to give an example of one politician, actually you will find similar things in many, many other political figures also. But I wanted to show you how, since you are listening to me today, I wanted to invite you to just learn to think critically about all the nice things that you hear on 8th March, all the nice messages that you get. Just read between the lines a little bit and ask yourself the simple question, are they talking about women's equality? Are they admitting that there is inequality in society and that women deserve equality and freedom? Are they talking about freeing women from, these family responsibilities and all of that, and about sharing responsibilities with all the genders? Are they talking about that? Or are they just saying, oh, how wonderful women are for, taking care of us and giving birth to us and taking care of children and taking care of the elderly and so on and so forth? So if they are only doing that second part, then you should be a little critical and ask, hello, this Women's Day is not about celebrating women for suffering in silence. It is about celebrating women's struggles to liberate themselves and liberate all of society. I hope everybody is still there with me. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Okay, so I just want to go to the next slide, please. So in this slide, it is the photograph of women. It says shirt-waist strikers, but actually these are women who they make shirt-waist means it's like a basically, like a part of, it's something that men wear. So it's a dress. So they are garment workers. They are dressmakers. And they used to work in factories in the early 20th century in America. And they are on strike in 1910. And they are holding a copy of a newspaper, which is a left-wing newspaper, a communist, socialist newspaper. If you don't know what that word is, we'll talk about that later. But basically it is, the left parties, like you have Communist Party of India or Communist Party of India, Marxist, Leninist, etc., like my party. So basically they are holding a newspaper of a left party, and the left was talking about about the rights for workers, and about creating a system, a society, where the working class men and women actually control the everything, that they have power rather than the big, moneyed people, the capitalists having power. And one of the things that the demands that were being raised was the right to cast a vote. So women were not allowed to vote in the early 20th century. Even in America, in Britain, in all these countries, women could not vote. So they were also demanding the right to vote. Next slide, please. Yes, this is a photograph from 1911. It's a very blurred photograph, but basically it's a photograph of a garment factory which is destroyed after a very terrible fire took place. And 146 workers, all women, garment workers, like you saw in the previous photograph, they were killed. You know why they were killed? And this was in New York City, which is one of the biggest cities in the world. It's the biggest city in America. So what happened was that, these workers would be locked inside. They would not be allowed to go outside. So the doors would be locked and they would not be allowed to leave the premises while they were stitching, working. So they would be using these, sewing machines, and they would be sewing. So when the fire caught, they had no way to escape. So they literally tried to, there were girls who, and they were very young girls, 16, 17, 8, 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old girls also used to work there, as well as older women. So they tried to jump out of the window. So many of them died by jumping out from the 9th floor of this building. Many were burnt alive inside. And if you think that that kind of thing happens only in, it happened in 1910, 1911, and it doesn't happen anymore, think again, because it doesn't happen in America so much anymore. But the same big companies have shifted their factories to India, to Bangladesh. So if you do a search on the internet, you can do that as, tonight if you feel like it. And you just say factory fire, Bangladesh, factory fire, Delhi, factory fire, India. And you will get many recent incidents of factory fires in Delhi, in Dhaka, where the same thing has happened. Garment workers have been locked inside factories. Various other kinds of factories also are there, and workers have been locked inside. They could not get out. Factory caught fire and they died. So why is it that, over 100 years have passed and this has not changed? That is something to think about, to ask yourself. But what, how does this relate to Women's Day? Well, after that factory fire, hundreds of workers all over the world, thousands, millions of workers all over the world, they started protesting because they said that, look, the conditions for workers is terrible. Conditions for women workers is the worst of all. And we want equality. And we don't just want better wages and safer workplace. We want a right for women to vote. We want women to be elected to government so that they can help to form better policies, etc. And those on the left, women on the left, they said it's not even enough just to have the right to cast a vote or be elected. They said that the whole system should be changed so that those who are workers, those who are poor, they should be the ones who get the right to make decisions. That is the real democracy. Democracy is not just about the poor having a right to elect somebody. It's also about, they're having the right to own the factories, to own, to rather than simply working for a very small wage in a factory which is owned by a very rich person, right? So that is what basically, and from these struggles, 8th March began. Because, and who began it? I want you to go, well, to the next slide, please. Yeah. Yeah, just look at that slide. It's a banner in Russian, and there are hundreds of women on the street. Literally, you can't see any khali space, any free space on the street because there are so many women. I'll tell you about what this is, but basically this was in Russia and this was in 1917. And women were holding these massive protests against high price of bread. They were demanding bread. They were demanding land, as in for the farmers, for the poor farmers. They said, we don't want only landlords to own the land. We want common people to own land. And peace. So peace was at that time, 1917, the First World War was going on. And these women were demanding an end to the war. They were saying, we don't want our sons to go to the war and die there. And because what will the war give us? We don't want that. We want bread, land, and peace. So it was women's protest, and on 8th March, that basically started this huge thing that finally led to a revolution. Russia used to be ruled by a king, a czar, and basically the czar was removed, and you had a government come in, which was called a socialist government, which meant that it was supposed to be a government in which workers and poor farmers, they were the ones who would take the decisions, who would run society, and who would control things, right? So that's in a very short thing. Let's go to the next slide. Yeah. So this is Clara Zetkin. So this is a woman who was a Russian communist leader. And she basically was the one who started international, not Tara, Clara, C-L-A-R-A, Clara Zetkin. So Clara Zetkin was the one who started the International Women's Day tradition. She said, let us hold all over the world, let us have this 8th March observed as Women's Day. And basically she said it should be a day on which we remind the world of the struggles that we wage every day. So it's not just one day to celebrate women and so on and so forth. It is about a day to remind men, remind the world, remind the governments that we are here, we are holding these struggles every day, and we are demanding a right to vote, we are demanding equality for everybody, we are demanding that the poor people should not just be, suffering and exploited in factories and left to die in factories and all of that. We are demanding that these working people, they should be controlling the world. So that is the history of Women's Day. Okay. Okay. Next. Okay. Okay. Not next slide. Hang on. Let me get back to the discussion. Yeah. Okay. So what I want to say to all of you, when Roses was speaking, she mentioned rape, and she mentioned, how women are, they are in danger of sexual violence outside the home, inside the home, etc. So I want to ask you, where do you think most of the rape cases happen? Where do these rapes happen? Who are the people who are raping women, and where? Okay, it's basically about, is it on the street? When you go outside, do you feel afraid? Is rape in India happening mostly outside on the street by a strange man whom you don't know? Okay, I want to ask that question. Stranger rape, which means I'm just walking on the road and somebody whom I don't know, some man has stepped out and caught hold of me and raped me, and I don't know who that person is, and that is called stranger rape. So do you think stranger rape is the main kind of rape that is happening in India? That's a question, and please respond. Yeah. Anyone? Anybody? I mean, what do you think? I mean, mostly in the newspapers, what kind of rape do you read about? Mostly, what are you reading about?
Ma'am, if you could repeat the question again.
Yeah, I'm just asking, in the newspapers, when you read about rape incidents in India, what incidents are you reading about? Are you, is it usually an incident where a woman has been raped and killed by a stranger, and newspaper is writing about that? Is that the case? I want to know. Yeah. Did you understand my question? Okay, so Nitesh says maybe 20%, 30% is stranger rape, but anyone else wants to step in? Comparatively, give me like Nitesh said, a percentage. Tell me a percentage. Stranger rape, rapes by people whom you know, who are inside your house or your neighborhood or whatever it is. What do you think is the distribution of rape cases? How much percentage? Nitesh said 20 to 30% stranger rape. Anyone else? Just have a guess. What's your impression? Ebony says 80% of rape cases are in the family. Anyone else wants to go? No? So, okay. What is reported more is about stranger rape, says Manju. Okay. तो अगर मेरी बात समझ में नहीं आई है तो जरूर बताइएगा, हाँ, please tell me and we can try to translate into other languages also and everything, whatever. If anyone has any difficulty, please tell me if you're not following. But I want to also tell you that mostly the impression is, you will have heard about statistics saying so many rapes are happening every day in India. Ganesh is saying 70% friends and relatives, whatever. So I'm saying you also hear about rape being the main crime in India, okay? So it is you are only reading about, and you will often read statistics that say every minute in India, so many women are raped. Every day in India, so many women are raped. The numbers are based on what? The numbers are based on how many FIRs of rape are filed in police stations. So those numbers are compiled into your data, National Crime Records Bureau data, and you are listening to that number. So it sounds like a huge number because it's a massive number and all of that, right? And it makes the world also think that India has some very special rape problem. India's problem is main problem when it comes to gender-based violence is rape. But let us look at the facts now. And I want to show you the next slide. Can we go to the next slide? It may not be that easy to see because it's not very easy to read. Is it possible to pinch it out a little so that people can read it a little bit closer? Is it possible?
Yeah, I'll try.
Okay. See if it's possible a little bit. If not, then I'll manage somehow, but okay. Okay.
I think it's visible now.
Not great. I hope if you're on a computer, maybe you can see it. I can't see it very well on my phone, so I'm seeing it on my computer. But anyway, basically you can see the different levels. Never mind the writing. Okay. If you can't see the writing, don't worry about it. You can see that on top there is a black part, and then beneath that there's a small shaded part with lines on it, and then there's a gray part, and then there's a part with dots, and then there's a light gray part, and beneath that there is this crisscross, very large part. Okay, so let us understand what is this division. Okay, if the whole pillar is the number of rape cases, rape FIRs filed in Delhi in 2014 that came to, or even in Bombay in 2015 actually, and that came to trial in the courts. Okay, so we know what the outcome was, we know what the decision was of the court, because the trial happened and this was already worked out. So we know what happened in these cases. We know the story behind these cases. So let's have that image out nicely, as big as possible, and let's look at that. Yeah. So what you find is that second tiny thing, with that small lines, just look at the picture. So those, from top, that black thing, underneath that black thing, that small shaded area with lines on it, slanting lines. See how small it is compared to the whole pillar. It's not even 20% or whatever. It is barely maybe 7% or something. It's a very, 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 very small percentage. That is stranger rape. That is rape by strangers. So what we hear about in media and on newspapers and everything are mostly cases of stranger rape. Like that Nirbhaya incident in Delhi in 2012, or like this other incident, Priyanka Reddy incident in Hyderabad, couple of years back, etc. So you hear about those cases. And in those cases, we all get angry and we say, oh, there should be death penalty, we should kill these rapists, etc. But actually, we are talking only about this tiny percentage of stranger rape. Okay, we'll come to other incidents later. We'll come to the other parts later. But first, you can see the largest part in this. The largest, if that was the smallest section, stranger rape, the largest section is that bottom, crisscross bit, right? Largest, so that is almost half of the cases, so it is 40% or more than 40% of the cases that are filed, rape cases that are filed. Remember, we are looking only at rape cases. So more than 40% of the rape cases that are filed is that part. What are these cases? So you know what they are? They are false cases. So you'll say false case, matlab kya hai? What is false case? And you must have thought that, oh, false case means that a woman has falsely accused a man of rape. No. These are false. We are holding them to be false because these are cases in which the woman or the girl has not complained of rape at all. What has she done? She has fallen in love with somebody, a boy, a man, maybe in most cases a man who is from another caste or another religion, and she has run away to live with him or even to get married to him. Bhag ke shaadi jisko kehte hain na, elopement. These are consensual elopements. That means that marzi se, of their own choice, she has decided to run away and get married because her parents won't allow her to marry that person. So she has run away from home and got married. But how does that become a rape case? That becomes a rape case because when the girl's parents come to the police station and they say कि हमारी लड़की तो भाई भाग गई है, भाग के शादी की है, the police also think in a patriarchal way and they say, yeah, that is very bad, that is very terrible, and let us please, we will get your girl back for you and we'll file a rape case. So a rape case is filed, a kidnapping case is filed against the boy, against the man, the boyfriend or the husband or whoever. And the police goes, it finds that husband or boyfriend, brings them back, arrests them, puts them in jail, and puts this girl in some shelter home. So it gives the girl a choice. You can either go to a shelter home or you can go to your own parents' house. So she says, but I want to go to my husband's house or my boyfriend's house. I want to be with him. I'm an adult and I want to choose. I want to be with him. But there the police says nothing doing. Your parents say that you are a minor. Parents are not saying you are an adult. So parents are saying you are a child. So we are going to put you in this shelter home. And shelter home is not a shelter home. It's like a prison. So she has to suffer there, be held there until and unless she agrees that, yeah, actually this guy kidnapped me and raped me or whatever. When she does that, then she is allowed. And in all these cases, and imagine the huge number, maximum number of cases, they are counted as rape cases. But there is actually something else happening in those cases, which is not rape. What is happening in those cases is another form of violence against women. That is where the parents basically are beating the girl, hurting her, harming her, even breaking her spine, starving her, locking her up, and saying that until and unless you give up that relationship of your choice, we are going to mistreat you like this. So there is a violence happening there against women, but it's not rape. It is a violence that we don't have a name for in our criminal justice system, because parents, it seems, are allowed to beat up their daughters. They are allowed to forcibly drug their daughters. They are allowed to torture their daughters, all to maintain, the idea that women should not marry outside the caste or outside the community or whatever it is. Okay. And these cases are getting filed as rape cases. They're not rape. So what is, so that is the really interesting thing here. And I don't think many of you may have heard about that. Let's go back to that slide for a minute. Okay. So in that slide, what you see is that that gray part, basically the third from the top, the dark gray part. That is the section of cases which is rape by neighbor or acquaintance, usually of children in slums. So what is happening is that in slum areas, working class families, very poor families, the mother also goes out to work, the father also goes out to work, but there is nowhere safe to leave the child. So they leave the child with a slightly older child. Usually they will leave a baby with the older sister or older brother and say, you take care of. And some neighbor or some acquaintance, they come and, the children they trust them, and they go with them for some sweets or something to their house, and they are raped or molested by that neighbor or acquaintance, or even, Durka, remote family member, etc. So that is a considerable large number of cases. But we don't hear about these cases much unless it is a rare case in which the child has been killed, etc. Or very grievously injured, etc. Why? And if we heard more about it, then we would think more about solutions for that kind of thing, right? And a simple solution would be that there should be very safe childcare, where parents who are going out to work should be able to leave their child in a safe place until they come back. And it should be a free service offered at all the workplaces, either or in the slums or whatever, right? But we don't have that in this country. Okay. The section after that, just made dots lage hue, the section that has the dots, that is rape by immediate family member. So what Roses was talking about. So it was basically a father or brother or uncle or whatever. Okay. Then the next light gray part, that is also a sort of a very strange category. It is very unique. You don't find it outside India. In India, it says breach of promise to marry. So even if a woman has been in a relationship with a man for 10 years, and then she has been ditched by that guy has gotten married to somebody else, or guy has said, I'll not marry you, and he has broken the relationship and he has moved on. So the woman, of course, she feels humiliated, she feels hurt, she has been treated badly by the man. So she goes to somebody, she will go to, her, to go to a lawyer or go to the police or whatever. And there she is encouraged by the lawyer. It's not her mistake. She's simply saying the truth. She's saying, look, I wanted to marry this guy, and I thought this guy will marry me. But now we were in a relationship for so long. I never made, I could have used that time to make a relationship with someone else, get married. But this guy has suddenly dumped me and gone. And basically like use and throw. And I'm feeling very used. I'm feeling bad. And I want to, isn't there some way in which that I can get some justice? So what happens is that usually her parents will say, bhai, your life is spoiled. Who will marry you now? Because you have already been in a consensual relationship, sexual relationship with some guy. So you have to pressurize him only to marry. How to do that? So her parents, her lawyer, her so many people, even police, they will tell her, you file a rape case. And you say that I thought he will marry me. That is why I agreed to have sex. But since he didn't marry me, he cheated me. So I'm filing a rape case. What happens in the majority of these cases is that the man is not punished. He is arrested, he gets harassed quite a lot. Sometimes the girl withdraws her case if he agrees to marry her. So it's a way of pressurizing him to marry her. But in the vast majority of cases, there is no punishment for him. So basically, the rape case, he is acquitted. Because the judge says, look, of course, it is not a rape case, right? It is not, you had a relationship with him by choice, and you only are saying rape because he didn't marry you. If he is willing to marry you, then you will say, no, no, rape did not happen, right? So, by the way, in such cases, when they come to me also, when a lot of girls come to me in a lot of pain, lot of hurt, feeling very angry, very upset, and I tell them, yes, you have a right to feel angry. You have a right to feel upset. You have been treated badly. But the answer is not to file a rape case, because it doesn't empower you to say that you have been raped when so I ask a simple question. I ask women who come to me, I said, suppose he agrees to marry you tomorrow, will you still feel that you were raped? If she says no, if he marries me, then I will take the complaint back. Then I say that then maybe you should consider that maybe it is not rape that you're thinking about. You're feeling very bad, you're feeling very used. That's right, but you have to learn from this and be strong. Your life is not ruined. We learn, we are the sum total of our experiences. We learn from bad experiences. Let us learn and be stronger and go ahead. And not let this, if you force him to marry you, your life will be hell, his life will also be hell, because you won't really have a happy life with the person who doesn't want to be with you and who has treated you badly. Okay. But in some of these cases, there is a conviction. Those cases are where the man has actually cheated, which means he is already married and he has pretended to get married to this woman. So he has told her that I'm unmarried, come, let us get married. And the woman thinks she's married and she starts living with him. Maybe she has sex with him, maybe she gets pregnant, whatever. Later she realizes, oh my God, he's already married, he already has another family. In those cases, the judge has given a rape conviction, because he says, look, probably this woman would not have agreed to be in a relationship with you had she known that you were married. You hid it from her. And that is why perhaps, so in those cases, they give a conviction. Okay. Or if the marriage is a false marriage, it is not really a marriage and he has pretended that it's a marriage, etc. In those cases, there is a conviction. So now we have covered this actual reality of rape. Now, in the media, you'll hear a lot about false cases. Women are filing false cases, and poor men, men are getting accused wrongly, etc. Ye sab kya hai? But that is not the reality you see here. Actually, it's not women's mistake that they go and say that, look, I have been treated badly, right? But it is the police, the system, the parents, the lawyer, etc., who are encouraging them to file a case of rape where there is no rape, right? That if everybody was to do what I do when women come to me in these circumstances, which is to help the women to feel stronger and move on ahead rather than say, oh, go file a rape case, then you would not have this statistic at all. Likewise, if parents won't go and file a false rape case when their daughter has gotten married of her own choice, or she is having a relationship of her own choice with somebody, then you would not have all these false cases, which is this huge number, which is the large 40% of cases are these false cases, where you're actually harming the girl by torturing her, beating her up, locking her up in a shelter home, separating her from her husband, etc., etc. Okay. So in reality, the actual rape cases are much higher. In fact, in most of the cases, no case is filed, because in the case of child, very often, parents worry that they are threatened. Police also will tell them, look, if you file a case against this person, bachchi ka life kharab ho jayega, your small daughter, her life will get spoiled. Why you want her to be a rape victim? Then when she grows up, who will marry her, etc., etc. So they often don't file a case in the case of a rape of a child. The child rape is not just with girls, it is with boys also. Okay. The perpetrator is often a man, but sometimes it is a woman also with a child, a small boy child. So there are all these cases. In case of rape of boys also, parents are even less reluctant to file a case, because generally the idea is that for men it is an even bigger shame. If you are raped, then you will be teased, you will be treated badly, you will be called abusive names, etc. Okay, so that those cases don't get filed. Even when it is an adult woman who has been raped by a close family member or a trusted person like a teacher or somebody like that, very often case is not filed, because she also feels pressured that no, don't spoil his life. Why do you want to spoil his life? So very often she won't even tell anybody that the rape has happened. So there are many cases which come to us where we know that a rape has happened, but the girl is not willing, or the woman is not willing to file a complaint of rape. She doesn't want to go to the police. Okay. So basically, in fact, there is a large number of rape cases which are they don't show up in the FIR statistics. Okay. Can we go to the next slide, please? Okay. Okay. Yeah. Not the next slide. Go to the next. Yeah. Stick to this slide. So this is from a book. All these slides, all this data is from the book of a woman called Rukmini S., who has a new book on data, whole numbers and half truths, it's called. It's about data in India. So she studies these statistics and data. So this is from her book. So she points out that actually the largest number of rapes in India of women is something which not even a single FIR is filed, because we don't have a category for it. We don't have a crime for it. Why? It is 95% of cases where women say that they were raped are actually within marriage by the husband. Okay. And now we will come to the definition of rape, but I'll come to that. I'm not going there right now. But basically, this is where you have a situation where 95% of cases are actually of marital rape, but we don't have a crime. We don't have this thing for marital rape, right? So basically, the definition of rape is what? It is that violation of where a woman has said no, and you are forcing something on her in spite of her no, without her yes. So without her yes, without her, that is what is happening. Without a yes, you are just assuming, okay, I can do this. Okay, you are forcing sex on her. So it's a violation of consent. Consent means haan bolna, yes. Okay, marzi. So the problem, and consent is something which doesn't, it's not like, okay, I agreed to go out with you for dinner. I agreed to kiss you. I agreed to go home with you and maybe cuddle with you for some time, but I don't want to go further. So I say, Abbas. But the man goes ahead and he doesn't stop. So the point is, the woman has a right to say no at any point. You have to, the man has to be the person to check whether or not it is a yes. And if it is not a yes, if you have not checked for consent, it's not just that you have to say no. Even if you don't say, even if you have basically start showing with your body language, ki bus, up bus, he is supposed to respect that. That is what is consent. That is what the legal definition of rape is also. But unfortunately, as we can see in our country, there is a very confusion around what rape means, etc., which is why we are in this situation. So actually, I have other points to make, but I think we are pretty badly off for time because we did spend some time in the discussion in the beginning. So if you like, we can just stop here if you like, or I don't know, can Charu or Tithya or anyone guide me on?
Kavita, if you can give more time, then please take more time.
Sure, then I'll just take a few more minutes then with the rest of the slides then.
Yes,
so basically what I wanted to say was that, rape is a violation of consent. And that is not the only kind of violence that women are facing in our country. So of course, rape is there, and there's a lot of misunderstanding about rape because, as Rose has said right in the beginning, if a woman has been raped, immediately she is asked, oh, what were you doing? What were you wearing? Why were you out at this time of night? You must have done something to be responsible. So if she is raped and she's alive, then nobody will believe her and everybody will treat her like she is the criminal, not the guy who did it. But and there will be this whole thing, she must be filing a false case and this is false and this and that. But if she is dead, she has been killed, then everybody will say, oh, kill the rapist, hang the rapist, etc. And so on. So what I want to suggest to you, we can discuss this further, is that actually this is creating a situation which is not at all helpful to anybody. It's not helpful to any of us. It's not helpful to women. It's not helpful for justice for rape victims, because we should create a society which is willing to listen to women's complaints and take them seriously, whether or not they go to the police, etc. Very often women will choose not to go to the police because they don't have a good experience with the police. So they don't go. But if a woman tells us that she has been raped, we should not be saying, you don't look like you've been raped. I saw you, you were smiling, you were dancing that day. How could you have been raped? If you had been raped, you would be, in like those pictures which are drawn in the media, on TV and all. Jisme na sar pakad ke rakhi hai, she's crying, she's weeping, or like the films. How can you be raped? There was only 2 minutes of time, so you think rape is something which happens like it happens in the films, lot of time, lot of screaming, lot of shouting, lot of fighting. Whereas actually what happens is that when somebody is violated without consent, especially by someone whom they know, whom they trust, it's a friend, it's an acquaintance, it's an older person whom they have trusted, like a family member or a teacher, then the common most response is not, so the answer is not that women should learn karate and whatnot. Because when that is happening to you, the most common response is for women to freeze, to not be able to respond. And that is common among not just to women, to male rape victims also, even adult men who have been sexually violated, raped by some man. Their response is also that they freeze, they can't react. In that moment, they cannot react. And much later, that's what trauma is like. That is what hurt is like. And when they react later, then they realize what has happened. And unfortunately, when they go and try to tell somebody, then people ask them, how can it be? Are you sure? There's so little time, it could not have happened, or you must have given the wrong signal. The guy must not have understood, that he must have thought that you mean it. But my point is that if there is any doubt about, is it yes or no, the person who, has to stop. The man has to give the benefit of doubt to the other person. He has to stop and make sure that it is a yes before he goes ahead. He can't just assume ki kuch bhi chalega. And if the person is maybe drunk or drugged or whatever, they are not conscious, then you shouldn't have anything to do with them during that time, because they can't consent when they are drunk, right? And if it is a child, then a child cannot consent. If it's a 16-year-old, 15-year-old girl, and you are, 30 years, 40 years old, she's much younger than you, and she is under your control. You have much more power than her. You shouldn't, you should make sure that you don't do anything with her, because she's a child, she cannot consent. But if it's a 16-year-old girl and say a 17, 18-year-old guy, then both are young. Unfortunately, the law is such that it says this is rape. there is, even if the girl consented, it is rape. Whereas that is actually not fair. Women's groups have opposed it when we have all said that if it is two young people very close in age to each other, then don't hold this, don't say that it is a crime and you are locking up the guy as a rapist for life, you are scarring him for life for doing nothing, for having some relationship with his girlfriend. That is not fair, especially in India where parents file such false cases. You shouldn't file it. But what has the government done? Government has recently raised the age of marriage from 18 to 21. And a lot of people are thinking, oh, such a good idea because women shouldn't get married early. So the point is, yeah, women, ideally, nobody should get married early, marry late, no problem. But the point is that women do marry early for so many reasons. If they fall in love, they feel that if we get married, then the parents will not object so much. So hum shaadi kar lete hain. Then, these rape case, etc., that will go away because then we can show we are married. Sometimes in very poor households, girls marry young because there is no money to educate her. There is no job that she is able to get. Even if she wants a job, there is no employment. There is so much unemployment. So parents think, okay, in order to settle her, at least if she gets married, maybe, in some way that is like she will have a place. She will be better off. So in this pandemic time, actually child marriage in India had fallen quite a lot, and average.
Just switch things. Just 1 second.
Sure, sorry.
Pandemic time is where we cut, and you continue.
Okay. So actually, even before the pandemic time, we had a situation where 19 years had become the average age of marriage in India for girls. So it's perfectly okay. Marriage age for men is 21. We had been demanding, women's groups, that please reduce the marriage age for men also to 18. Because if you can vote at 18, you're an adult, you can vote at 18, you can drive at 18. Surely you can also, choose your partner at 18. If you want to, if you have to. We are not saying that everybody must get married at 18. It is better if you don't. But the point is that you shouldn't. The issue is, should you go to jail if you marry, young? So what happens now is, with this raised age of marriage, what will happen if that becomes a law is that girls who marry at 18, and especially during the pandemic because of so much poverty and joblessness in the last 2 years, again, the age of marriage is falling and girls are getting married at 18 and all of that, especially because, education is expensive. There is no way to, educate her ahead. There's no money in the house even to eat. So these marriages are somehow happening. So what will happen is her parents will be sent to prison because it has become a crime. Child marriage is a crime, and you're going to say an adult woman is a child for the purpose of marriage. That is not a good thing, and that is not a solution to the problem we are talking about, right? The solution would be, why don't you give free education to women from KG to PG? You say that you keep studying, don't worry, you will not have to pay fees. Study for free, no matter where you want to study, whatever you want to study. That would help. Women will be able to say, look, I can study without being a burden on my family. So let me study. And that way, I don't have to get married right now, right? But instead of doing that, the government is, and what will happen with this raised age of marriage is that in these situations where remember that violence was happening there, parents are filing a false rape case, etc. What happens is that those parents are getting a legal position. Now, till now, the woman could say, hello, I'm adult, I'm over 18. So, I can prove that. You look at my certificates and all of that, I'm above 18. Now parents can say, so what, you're above 18? You are still below 21. So you don't have a right to get married. And if you are married by your own choice, then we can, the marriage will be null and void, and we can send your husband to jail, etc. for rape. So this is a big problem. And also this thing has been politicized a lot. So, it's not just in society that why do parents file these rape cases? We have to go back to that Manusmriti thing that we read in the beginning. So Manusmriti basically is about, it lays down the law about castes. Okay. And it says that in order to maintain the caste system, women should be controlled. Why is it talking about women being controlled? Because it says if women are out of control, then the caste system will break down, because women will marry across caste, they will marry whoever they like, and caste system will not remain. So caste system is a good system, it is a good society, and for that women must always be controlled by a man. As a result, it's not just because it's written there, but what is written there reflects what is happening in our society, in India particularly, where parents file rape cases because they are unhappy that the woman has chosen, their daughter has chosen to marry somebody from a lower caste or another community, Muslim community, etc. And you have these khap panchayats and all coming and doing violence to such couples. But not only that, you have a situation where now you have this, BJP party which is in power, and yes, yeah. So you have these party which is in power, basically talking about love jihad. What is this love jihad? So if a Hindu woman falls in love with a Muslim man, they say that this is love jihad. This is Muslims are just trying to trap Hindu women and marry them, and so that they will become Muslim and they will produce Muslim children. Population is going out of control. Population is growing and it will overshoot Hindus, etc. All of this is rubbish actually, because Muslim population is way lower than Hindus. It can never cross Hindu population. That's not how population works. A minority will remain a minority, even if its population rate continues to remain the same or whatever. In fact, population rate of Muslims is falling at a much faster rate than the population rate of Hindus is falling. So this is rubbish. And also love. Remember that if a woman is marrying of her own choice, she is loving somebody of her own choice, then how can you call it jihad or rape or whatever? So that is the same problem. But these outfits are there. They provoke the parents also. They inflict violence. Police cooperates with them. And now in several BJP ruled states, they have made laws saying that you can't convert for the purpose of marriage. So if I'm a Hindu woman, I'm in love with a Muslim guy, and we want to run away and get married. If I file under the Special Marriage Act, which is a secular law, then what will happen is that my parents will be notified, my house will be notified, and for 1 month, I have to wait to see if any objection is filed, and only then I can get married. So in that 1 month period, basically these groups will come, they will separate us, they will say I'm a minor, they will catch me, throw me into shelter home, separate me from my husband, etc. So to avoid that, to quickly get married, what the people do is let us go get married either in Arya Samaj or by Muslim rites and rituals, which is I convert to Islam, and in Islamic law we can do nikah, and it's a quick ceremony and it's done. We are married. So in the Arya Samaj type marriage, the boy converts from Islam to Hinduism and he gets married under Hindu law, or girl gets converted to Muslim religion and she gets married. The point is that these outfits are unhappy in either outcome. They say, "Arey, she has become a Muslim and this is cheating, and so it's love jihad, so it is illegal. So these laws have been made to stop this." But at the same time, when a Muslim guy converts to Hinduism and marries according to Hindu ceremony with the Hindu parents' approval, then also these outfits go. These are Hindu supremacist outfits. Hindu supremacist outfit is not the same as Hindu religion. Hindu religion, you may be Hindu and you may worship or whatever. Hindu supremacists say that India belongs only to Hindus, and we will continuously harass and persecute everybody else. There cannot be equality between Muslim and Hindu, etc. And marriage between Muslim and Hindu will not allow, etc. So what they do is that they killed this one guy in UP who converted to Hinduism and got married, but they said he is a rapist. And in speeches made at the so-called Dharm Sansads, they made speeches saying, "Oh, we killed a rapist and very good, more rapists like this should be killed," etc. So you see again how the political use of rape is very different from the actual situation of rape, right? So where it is not rape at all, You have killed somebody whom this woman loved and married. Okay, but you are saying I killed a rapist and I shot dead a rapist, and you please kill more like that. Another case in Karnataka, they cut this boy's head off, Muslim boy's head off, because they claim that he is in love with a Muslim, with a Hindu girl. Okay, so this kind of violence, and it happens with Kap Panchayats also, when on the basis of caste and all of that. Tamil Nadu, you find a situation where the middle castes, these Vanyar community, they are the political party associated with them is saying that Dalit men should not marry our women. So all these people are treating women as the property of the community. Hindu women are our women. Muslim women are our women. Your caste, my caste women, Vanyar community women are our women. You don't get to take away. But you are not asking the woman, what does she want? She belongs to herself. She doesn't belong to your community. She doesn't belong to her parents. She doesn't belong to anybody. She belongs to herself, and she has a right to decide. So that is where we come, full circle from the beginning, where we started, and we talked about not worshipping, but recognizing women as human beings and as individuals who have rights, right? Because then if you recognize your daughter as an individual, if you recognize your sister as an individual, then you won't kill her, or you won't kill her husband because she has taken a decision that you don't like. She has gotten married according to outside the caste or community or whatever it is, right? You will respect that she is an individual who has a right to take a decision on her own. So she has the right to autonomy. Okay. Likewise, she has a right to go outside wherever she likes, and I don't have the right to lock her up. Whereas in our country, again, statistics show that most of the girls and women, they have to ask permission of somebody in the house to go outside. They don't have a right to go outside wherever they like, whenever they like. They have to ask permission, and somebody can refuse permission. Okay, even if you're an adult, even if you're an adult daughter or adult daughter-in-law. Okay. So these are the circumstances which are actually the real problem. But the way in which the discourse is shaped by media, by ruling political parties, etc., that is basically not working. 1 second.
Okay, Kavita will come back shortly.
Yeah, we got cut off because some call came in.
Okay.
Let me just leave a message for that person, gentleman who's calling me.
Yes, sure.
To tell him not to call me. Just a minute.
Manisha, Swati is requesting, can you give some distance between your camera and you? Because maybe your hands are not fully.
Hands are not showing. Okay. So basically what I was saying was that, you have this situation.
Kavita, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Could you take another 5-7 minutes to wrap up, and then we can spend 15-20
Sure.
minutes on questions. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm almost done. I'm almost done. Just give me a second. I just want to see where we are. Okay. So what I want to just tell you is that, okay. Okay. I just wanted to, maybe we can stop here and take questions then. It's okay. The images I have left, we can use if the questions come up. Let's take questions first. Yeah, let's take responses and questions. Fine. Sure. Go ahead, please. Please just ask questions, and in whatever you want to talk about.
Charu, maybe some encouragement from you.
Hello, Shikha here.
Yeah.
As you were talking about the inequality.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so she's saying you were, I mean, you were telling about the inequality and about the other parts also, how the, sorry, I couldn't get it. Yes.
Shikha mentioned that you've mentioned it, but I want to know in deep.
Charu is saying that you have given us the best presentation, but we are lacking on the accessibility part for a deaf woman. How deaf women can get the access to the information. So that's the main point for the accessibility, because deaf women are missing on a lot of points, which you have just shared with us. So how, I know about like women are being suppressed and they are suffering, but we would like to aware the other women too. But how we can make them aware when there is no accessibility for the deaf?
I think that I would suggest that I know that there is a problem of accessibility, but I also will encourage you by telling you that, in fact, your audience was pretty great. It did have quite a bit of awareness, and, even people who are not deaf or who are not facing these challenges, they also may be, less aware of facts. Because usually what we end up believing is what we read in the media or what we see on television or something, right? So it's not, but I would suggest that maybe I could try and help along with Vidya to find out whether, one can make some of the material I mentioned available as audio material. I know that at least Rukmini's book, which I talked about, is probably available as an audio book, and I could, if anybody's interested, we could try and get a free copy or something like that available. We can look for that. The other, even my own book, Fearless Freedom, I'd be very happy to make a copy available to read or even to read. So for people who are visually challenged, we can have the audio copy. And for people who are not able to hear, you could access the written copies. So I could certainly make the written copy very easily available to you. But in case of people with other challenges, we'd have to, find an audio version, etc. So I think that at least to read, you can get it, and I can help you get those copies, get the material, and you may enjoy that. You may enjoy looking at some of that material. Yeah. So even today's PPT, for instance, I'm very happy for you guys to share.
One more thing I would like to ask you related to the awareness and all. So, when I saw a book to the other deaf people, they might can't read it. They don't know how, because some people know Hindi and some people might know English. But if we can have both of the languages, that would be good. But people are focusing more on English, but some people are not aware of that language. So if they can be provided with both of the languages, book in the both language, that would be better.
Unfortunately, that is a very sad thing that very often these books don't get translated. I tried very hard to get, I found a wonderful translator also, but the Hindi publishers were not interested in publishing, unfortunately. So that is a problem, but I could find, still I can find some, I'm sure I can find some material that we can make available. And if you're interested in joining, somebody's written about joining the organization, etc., I will I can certainly, depending on which city you're in, which town you're in, I can put you in touch with our activists and you can certainly join. But I know that there will be other material, there'll be some materials in Hindi also definitely available. I speak Hindi very well. So in case somebody found this presentation a little difficult and you want me to do it again in Hindi with a smaller group separately or something, I'm very happy to do that. If somebody is trying to call me again. Yeah, I tried to send a message to that. I'm so sorry we got cut off again, I think. I hope I'm connected. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Any other questions? About material, we'll find a way to get material to you. Several people have raised their hands. Dhyanada Date, I think, has raised her hand, and Sitaram has raised his hand.
Okay. So Sitaram here. I have two questions, 2 points. The first one, many men are raping women, we have heard about it, but when men, for example, if there are a couple, and they are dating for 5 years, and if the woman ditching that boyfriend, and they had the physical relationship and all, everything, but later on the woman is saying, I don't love you, I'm with another person right now, can a person complain against that woman that she has raped him? Or if she has ditched her boyfriend, so if he can file FIR against her?
Yeah. I'd love to answer that, Sitaram. I'm glad you asked that question. See, first thing is that what we have to recognize is that, women who are filing these complaints and who are encouraged by society, so many aspects, police, lawyer, etc., parents, etc., to file these complaints, they are not really, being helped or empowered. So those are not, that's not a system that is good for those women. It is still a patriarchal system, and the woman is being told that she must file complaint, otherwise she is, she will be blamed that you got, your character is spoiled, etc. Okay. So let us understand that the situation of the woman who is in a long-term relationship which doesn't end in marriage, and the situation of a man in a similar relationship which doesn't end in marriage with a woman is different. Okay. That doesn't mean I think that the man ditching is necessarily exploitation, or certainly it is not rape, etc. Okay. But my point is that society treats the woman and the man differently. Okay. So what women often feel, those who come to me, very upset about such situations, they are usually, it is not just that they love that guy and they want that guy to be with them. That probably they can get over, and they really can think that, no, maybe it didn't work out. So it didn't work out. I should go on with my life and find other things to do. And maybe, I will find other people who love me and whom I love. We'll see. What happens is that in society, the idea with a lot of women is that whole society will turn around and tell that woman that you are not good for anything now. You can't get married anymore because you are not a virgin anymore. You are a fallen woman. You are a bad woman because you had a relationship. See, men don't get told those things. Yeah. Shall I go ahead? Men don't get told those things. Okay. Having said that, I say that I am not at all in favor of these complaints being filed. And the point is that, the same police that will not file a complaint in a real rape case, where a woman goes and says that, look, this guy who is, whom I know, either he is my teacher or my relative or my boyfriend or whatever, he raped me. I want to file a case. There the police will say, you must be lying. You don't look like you have been raped. You are dressed like this. You have done this. Go away. You don't want to file your case. But where it is not a rape case, there they encourage that woman to file a rape case. So the point is that, these people who are, they are basically upholding patriarchy. They are not helping women by filing certain kinds of cases, allowing parents to file false cases of rape, allowing women to file a case of rape where the problem is actually something else. It's not rape at all. Okay. So I'll just say that, of course, men cannot file an FIR against a woman of rape, because in our country, the rape law is gender specific. It is not gender neutral. So you can't file a rape case against a woman or any case against a woman. But the point is that why would you want to? You see, the thing to understand is to respect a woman's right to not be with you, right? For whatever reason. So what happened? There's some noise coming in the background.
So sorry, Manisha, can you please request? It's Shikha. She keeps getting unmute, please.
Yeah. So what I was saying was that, what happens with women who break up with men is actually something different. So you look at all the cases of stalking or of acid throwing or of stalking and killing, and in all those cases, basically, it is very often a case where a woman has said no to a guy, whether maybe she has never been in a relationship with him and she has just said no. She doesn't want to be in a relationship with him. Or, but he's continuously following her and, troubling her and demanding that she must love him. Sometimes she has been in a relationship with him, but she feels uneasy and she breaks the relationship. So this guy says, no, you can't break the relationship with me. If you won't be with me, I won't let you be with anybody. So I will either kill you or I will disfigure you with acid. So the point is that even where women break a relationship, because our society, women and men, there is so much inequality, not just in India, but all over the world, is that women are still vulnerable to violence, even if they are the ones who are rejecting a guy, right? So I think that for guys also, the important thing would be to learn how to accept a woman's yes as well as a no. So if a woman has said yes, if your sister says yes to somebody outside the caste, outside the community, respect her yes. Just respect her yes. But if she says no, don't, even if she says no in the middle of a relationship or in the middle of something, in the middle of even a sexual act, you have to respect and accept it. If she has rejected you for some reason, you may feel hurt. You have a right to feel hurt. You even have a right to feel that she treated me badly. Maybe she got married where her parents asked her to, according to caste, and because I was from another caste or another community, she ditched me. You're allowed to feel bad. You're allowed to feel sorrow. You're allowed to feel grief. You're even allowed to feel anger. But there should be a healthy expression of that anger. So I say that thing to women also when they file a case, saying that, it doesn't help you to do this. Likewise, I tell men, you don't have a right to be violent to a woman who has said no to you. Yeah. I hope that was helpful. Yeah. Thank you. Got it. Somebody else had their hand up, I think.
Okay, so my first question. I would like to ask you the second one. So, MCT.
Shall we just give a shall we just give a chance to Dhanada Date first? I think she had her hand up. So we'll come back to you, Sitara. We'll come back to you. Let's take some questions from others also. Then we can come back. Yeah. I think Ms. Date, I think, had her.
Yes.
Is she there?
Shivani is here.
Shivani. Okay. Okay. Sure. Shivani, go ahead.
So as you were telling us about the rape cases, as women were being raped, and men feel empowered with this thing. But the problem is that the rapist could be your relative, your neighbors, and the father also, or your relative members, and they were, raping their own family member. And maybe a child would not feel comfortable and they would like to file the FIR, but the police officials, they might be questioning that child only, that woman only, that maybe you won't get raped and maybe you were wearing that kind of clothes, and they just delayed the complaint. So that's a problem with the police officials, and the women are they are suffering all the time. They don't feel they have to gather the confidence to answer those questions, but the police officials, they will just shout at them. And it's better to have the medical MLC get done of that of the woman who being raped, but rather doing that thing, they just delete the case and they don't accept the facts.
Correct. You're absolutely right, Shivani. It's Shivani, right? Her name is? Yeah, Shivani. I can't see them. So you're totally right, Shivani. Yeah. That is the problem. And I will say that,
Kavita,
actually,
we just switch.
Yeah, sure.
1 second.
Sure. Switch. Go ahead.
Yes, please go on, ma'am.
Yeah. So I wanted to tell Shivani that, what she said was absolutely right. That is a real problem. And you're very right that even where a child or a girl or a woman wants to file a complaint, it's a whole phenomenon in India that the police encourages families to go for a compromise. There is no legal room for compromise, but they will say, "Aap log samjhauta kar lo, do a compromise." Okay. So what happens in those cases, in fact, many of the stalking death cases, cases where a stalker has killed a woman, or acid attack cases, you will find that in the past, the victim has tried to file a complaint, but the police has encouraged the victim's parents and the perpetrator's parents to come to a compromise and to withdraw the case. So this is a whole phenomenon that police encourages. It shows you that police also basically internalizes the ideas in society about women. And which cases are they eager to file? They are eager to file the cases that women, doesn't help women, that are not rape cases. But where it is really a rape case, there they are not wanting to file a case. Okay. Often that is the case. The other thing about medical that you said, what we need to understand in rape cases is that medical is not always, if you ever read in a newspaper, medical has told us that rape happened or rape didn't happen. Medical can't tell you whether or not rape happened, because rape is a violation of consent. And rape is not always something that will leave a scar or leave a harm or leave any physical evidence. So even in any forcible penetration of a body is rape. So you can be forcing some part of your body into a child's mouth or into an adult woman's mouth, okay, or you may be forcing your mouth onto her parts, etc., without her consent. So it is only, as a legal issue, when in the trial, in a court case, the judge has to see whether or not there is consent has been violated or not. So did a particular act take place? And was that act consensual or not? Was that act with the woman's agreement or not, or against the woman's agreement? That is what happens. So medical evidence can't show you that. Medical can only record what did the victim say. Is she hurting anywhere? Is there any physical evidence that pertains to the case, etc. That's all. You can't say ki rape hua ki nahi hua. It can't say was somebody raped, not raped. So every time you read that in a newspaper, remember that the police is violating the law by quoting some medical report to say ki rape happened or didn't happen. Because there are very specific guidelines to doctors that you cannot give a report saying rape happened, rape didn't happen. You can't do that. You can only give a report of description of what the body is, and you're supposed to treat the person who has come to you. Your job is a job of care. Your job is not to pass judgment on whether or not rape happened. Okay. There are many hands up, which is great. Let's ask everybody in whatever order you guys want. Yeah.
Dhyananda ji?
Dhyanada.
Aditya, her video is off, so we can't have her.
Okay. Then we'll move to the next one. Misha?
Okay.
Misha, her video is also not visible.
Okay. Parag?
Okay.
Hello, all friends, and very nice to meet everyone. Hope everyone's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
So my question is, based on my observations, I'm married. I frequently, have been told that I somehow am the weaker link in the or meek, and I've also seen the mother-in-law, the bhabhi arguments, and as soon as the husband is back, they would say, though, your wife, she does nothing at home, she acts tired always. And here the husband would then take that act that, no, why are you doing this? She's older to you, you should request, you should respect them. If this respect and this we have to remove this obedience or this feeling that all have to obey, worship so he says that men have to take a stand, that when their mothers or when their bhabhi and all do these kind of acts, and according to that you react to your wife, why do men do that, and how can this be stopped?
Thank you so much, Parag. That was a very, very thoughtful response. And I think that you're very, very right. Because yes, there is a lot that men can do to change things, at least in this family situation around them, or when their friends do something wrong. I think that men can do a lot, not by telling women how to behave, but by telling anybody who behaves badly with women, whether it is in your family, some mother-in-law, daughter-in-law, nana, sister-in-law, etc., or whether it is somebody, even your parents, who are not treating your sister right? Or suppose it is a gay person in the family, or a LGBT person of any kind, transgender person, sister, brother, whoever. They may need support and the family is not treating them right. You can step in to be on their side, offer them support and comfort. And if your friend is doing some misbehaving with women, you can tell them that, look, you are not respecting women's consent. You should respect women's consent. So, don't behave like that. You started by saying about how, this talk about who is weak and who is strong. You're very right. We see this in society, that if men don't behave in a certain way, suppose they cry, or they don't behave in a very macho way, or they are not violent, or they don't lay down the law, so unko aksar chidhaya jata hai. They are teased that you are henpecked. Your wife is ordering you around. You are your biri ke gulam ho. You are a slave to your wife, etc. And especially if men do housework or anything, very often this kind of thing is said about them, that what is all this? So people will laugh. I think that that is a very wrong thing, and we all have to stand up to it and say that this is totally wrong. What is all this about weak and strong? If two people are there with each other, we are all going to be weak on some occasions and strong on some occasions. If we love each other, we will be strong for you when you feel weak, and you will be strong for me when I feel weak, right? That is the point. There is no, weak, strong kind of thing, right? And it's about supporting each other, about being and about supporting other family members also who are women. And you're absolutely right that what this thing where women, older women, mother-in-law or somebody is encouraged to behave badly with the daughter-in-law. So when she would have been treated badly when she was a daughter-in-law, and now she is told ki it's your turn. Now basically it's like a supervisor among workers, no, where workers are being exploited. But the guy who was a worker till yesterday will be made supervisor today to mistreat those workers. So it's like that. You're giving the women a role in patriarchy to oppress other women, to control other women. So we should certainly try to step in, and especially if it is our wife and our mother and or our father who is treating wife badly, it's a good idea to step back a little and look critically at what is happening and try to make sure that especially the newcomer in the household, which is often the wife, right, that she is treated properly, she feels comfortable, and every small misunderstanding is not made into a big issue. Man can do a lot to make that happen. And that's it. I think you got the picture quite right. Yeah.
Thank you. Misha?
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Kavita, hello to you. And this has been a really exciting session. Your examples and the things you explained. What I want to ask is, this happens a lot, in the schools where we teach. They are young, they are 18 below, they don't know, and they go ahead and get into physical relationships. Is that rape? That is rape, as you said. The second is, and the second one is that the teacher's responsibility, ma'am. We know that these students are getting into consensual but underage sex. What is the teacher supposed to do in these kind of situations? If we don't do it, that's also wrong, isn't it?
So one thing is that, look, underage sex or whatever, it's actually very natural, very normal that teenagers are going to experiment. And as I said, ideally, if it is two young people who are not, one is not much older than the other, one is not much more powerful than the other, then actually it should not be a crime. I feel that the law is wrong over there, and women's groups never wanted that to be a crime. But what would you do as a teacher? Yeah, that doesn't mean that a sexual relationship fully is a good thing for such young people. But the point is that they need guidance, you see, rather than criminality. They are not raping somebody. Why should they be accused of rape? So I feel as a teacher, if young kids are getting into sexual relationships, the ideal thing, in my opinion, it's a very difficult thing to decide, and these are sensitive issues. But I would suggest that maybe the thing to do would be to talk to them without shaming them. If they, at such a young age, if they start associating relationships with the other sex as shameful, as something just mein bahut daant padegi, bahut maar padegi, it's a very bad thing. They will never learn to become have a healthy relationship with somebody. So it's ideally it is best, and people will be having relationships, same-sex relationships also, boy-girl relationships also. What we should tell them is to try and understand that they are still very young, and so they should understand what sex is. So the fact is that very often they won't know about safe sex. So avoiding illnesses, sexually transmitted diseases, avoiding pregnancy. So how to do that, right? So at least knowing that whatever you do, if you're going to do it anyway, well, use a condom, just, make sure that those things are available to those youngsters. I would do that. It's not an easy thing to do in our community, our society, because somebody may say, you're a teacher, how did you do this? How did you tell them to do this? You are approving of it. The point is, one is not approving, one is simply advising that please understand, very often these are kids, they don't know the consequence of sexual relationship. So ideally, you may tell them, please don't have a full-fledged sexual relationship. Okay, holding hands is okay. Okay, exchanging a hug or a kiss is okay, but don't go beyond that, because you're terribly young. You don't want to have a child, or have your health spoiled or something like that. But if they're anyway going to do something, at least let them understand the consequence and be safe, right? That's the way I think. But and I would also strongly try and tell them that, look, this is only your first relationship. You may not really be compatible for marriage or whatever. So you don't want to rush into your first relationship and get married. Na? And this happens in our society because parents and community make such a halla that the couple thinks that, oh, we must get married, otherwise we are not safe. So they run away and get married when they are still kids, when they are still so young. So instead of that, if we all, if adults had a more healthy attitude to relationships, if we said, okay, you can meet this person, you can be friends with them, and we will help you, we'll guide you. Please don't, take things to the next level and start, having full-fledged sex, etc. But after a few years, you see, we are not going to stop you from meeting. We are not going to stop you. We are not going to punish you. But after a few years, when you are educated, he is educated, you have a job, he has a job, you may think, you may find that you are still friends, but you don't want to be married to this person, right? So please wait till you become, more mature, and then you can decide. It's better that way. But if there is a fear of the parents, if I tell my parents, then they are going to get too upset and they will stop us from meeting. Then you have these really tragic situations where I have seen so many young kids even commit suicide because their parents have been so cruel to them when they discover a relationship. And they say such harmful, hurtful things that young kids, boys, girls, they often, and sometimes I have seen boys and girls, commit suicide if they are rejected by somebody. So they are not able to talk about it to somebody. So I feel like the teacher can fit that role to help them to know that even if a relationship breaks, it's not the end of the world. It may feel very bad, but it's not the end of the world. So, we'll help you get through it. And whatever it is, that communication channel should remain. So if you scold and shout and beat, then that communication channel will be closed. You won't, be able to be there when that person needs you. So that's my only advice, but I know it's not an easy position to be in. Yeah. Yeah, anyone else? I know Sitaram still has a question, but I can see a Sita will come back to you, but let's just hear a couple of others.
Yes, there are a few. Yeah. Saurav, can you please sign for Akshata?
I should just be able to see her. Is the video on?
Yes, yeah, I found her.
Oh, thank you. I just need to get back to speaker.
One moment. I also lost her again.
Ah.
Yeah, there she is.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
What we see in television, that women at PGs and hostels so what happens is, these bathrooms and all of these things, there's CCTVs. We are not thinking about these things. They are downloading all of this content and they are making it open to public. Can you imagine this is happening in the bathrooms? And once they have this content, they would exploit you. Would you know anything about this, ma'am? What are your thoughts?
Absolutely, Akshata. I think not just in PGs and hostels, but often I know that in shops, where you, shops also, when you go, then that happens. And Not only that, I have known of it to happen even on Delhi Metro, because Delhi Metro has CCTV. And so if there's a couple, boy and girl, who are together, then they are taking a video of the boy and girl and then releasing it in public and all of that. So that is an absolute crime, you know, taking video footage of somebody without their consent, whether it's a woman or man or whoever. You should not be videotaping them without their consent. You should not be distributing photographs or videographs of them without their consent. This is absolutely a crime. But yes, it does happen. And I also feel that people don't understand. They think that CCTV in public places is at least a good thing, because we'll be able to catch a culprit, right? Actually, it's not that simple, right? CCTV, it's not easy always to recognize also the face correctly or whatever. It's just one clue among many others. And the chances of misuse are much higher. So the point is that, you know, girls often have a need for privacy. You don't want, because there is so much restrictions on us, we are not supposed to, we don't want our parents and our neighbors to know who we are meeting or who we are going out with and all of that, right? We want some privacy. We don't want our landlord knowing, you know, too much about our personal lives, etc. But CCTV means that they can get footage of you and misuse it against you to blackmail you, or to say that you are seeing this chap, we'll tell your parents, and so on. Huh? And because that girl is so afraid of her parents, that afraid of parents getting to know, that she then starts agreeing to getting exploited and all of that, right? And also sometimes even the boyfriend and all also cheat, like they say that, well, let us take some photographs. So it's consensually shared, like nude photographs or something, but, or video, right? But that's between two people with consent. But without the consent of that person, if you take it and you release it in public as a revenge porn, that kind of thing, that's terrible, because it's a violation of privacy. It's a crime. It should not be done. So unfortunately, those things are very real. They are happening, and yeah, it's a real problem. Yeah. So anyone else wants?
Yes.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Roses?
Saying, you know, we need the police and the system to encourage and hear them, not encourage them and shame them.
Yeah. Thank you. Roses? Can you please sign for Roses? Yeah.
So ma'am, she is saying that it's a comparative kind of a thing, no? So a girl and a boy, you know, if so the girl, if she is having relationships, if she's going out, whatever she's doing, the parents, you know, would stop her from doing all activities, will stop her from going to school, will stop her from going anywhere. And in the same case, for a male, they don't, you know, if the male says, I just went to meet this friend of mine, I just went to the mall. Why this bias of parents where they're okay with the boys doing all of this and not okay with the girls doing this?
So that's exactly, you got it absolutely right. It's what I talked about. It's that problem of control where you think that a woman should not be free. It's what we read in the Manusmriti, but it's not because of the Manusmriti. Let's understand that I use the example of Manusmriti because it sort of explains why our society is like this. But it doesn't only happen in Hindu communities. It happens all across South Asia. Okay. And I think that one of the issues in South Asian communities is this tendency to think of women as a property of the community. And so your parents, and so you're supposed to be given away in marriage to somebody. So you're a piece of property, you have to be given away to your husband. And apart from that, you have to be given away to your husband, in a pure form, so virgin form, kharab nahi hone chahiye, it shouldn't be spoiled. So spoiled means if I have a relationship, or if I have a boyfriend, or if I'm just hanging out with my friends, etc., then parents get an anxiety that she is going to bigar jayegi, she'll go spoiled. Spoiled means she will exercise her freedom to have friends and maybe have relationships, etc. So I think this is really a very big challenge in our society, and it really needs to be changed and challenged. And the point is that very often these restrictions are being placed in the name of safety. So it's like we're worried about your safety. But the point is that I'm unsafe even when I am locked up, no? In fact, if I don't have experience of the world, I have seen girls who are much more vulnerable because they don't have experience of being out in public together alone, and they don't understand. So very often they tend to fall for like if a priest in a temple in the hostel in which I stayed in Bombay. I remember there was a girl there, and she once told me that, oh, I go to this temple regularly, and the guy, the priest there, he told me that you are like the goddess, and I want you to come and see me. I'll help you to, some spiritual activity, etc. So I asked her, when does he want you to come, for some puja or something? She said, no, he wants me to come after, when no one else is there. So of course, because I had been encouraged, since childhood to be a little independent and go out on my own, and parents were a little chill, I immediately got, I could read between the lines. I said, what? Why does he want you to go when you are alone? Why does he want to do that? He's not supposed to do that. You can't do that. So she couldn't understand. She said, no, but he's a priest, no? So he's a man of God. He must be calling me because he told me I'm like a goddess. So of course I told her, no way, you're not going alone. If you're going, somebody else is going with you, and all of that. But I realized that because she had not been exposed to the world outside, she actually couldn't read the signals that I could, right? Although we were the same age, right? So I think that, that is very harmful. And also a fear of telling the parent, that is another big issue, that girls who get sexually harassed, they're so afraid, they want it to stop, but they don't want to go for a complaint, etc., because they say, oh my God, if my parents get to know, they'll stop my education and they'll call me back home. And I don't want that to happen, So I think in all these situations, you have to understand how different life is for women compared to men, right? It's a very different world altogether. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Kavita, can we take 3 final questions?
Of course.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Vishnumya, yes. Go ahead.
Yeah, she was just checking if I could see her. So there's just one doubt which I have, which I want to check with you. So the marriage part, no, that if you have sex, marriage will be a situation or a problem. But even if we talk about the LGBTQIA community,
yeah,
members of if they are gay or if they're from the queer community, their parents force them to get married to someone from the heteronormative gender. And they're not happy with that marriage, and that marriage mostly doesn't work out, but the blame is always on this person.
Yeah. No, it's a very, very, absolutely, it's a very real issue. It's a terrible situation. And I think that, the insistence on marriage, whether it is insistence on marriage as a, as a cure for homosexuality, that's horrible. On the other hand, even if the parents don't know that you are gay or whatever, or they just think that, suppose it's a guy, then they often think, no, marriage is important in order to have children, etc., all that. And on the side, you can be gay, do what you like, but that's another matter. But marriage you have to do because you have to, have children, etc. All that is very unfair on everyone concerned, right? So I feel that, yes, the force and all of that that is happening, that is terrible, and the homosexual person, gay person or lesbian person is also a victim in the situation. But I also think that the answer is, their partner whom they're marrying is also a victim, right? So I feel as though we all have to create a situation where we can support people to be honest, and not to come under such pressure, right? Because it's a terribly unhappy life for everyone around, and it is not fair on anybody, right? So it is better if we can, which is why I'm saying that in the world around us, let's keep our eyes open. If we find someone in such a situation,
He says that it's so difficult to do this in the society, what you just said.
I know. It is very difficult, but that's why I feel that, there are groups, there are, women's groups, there are LGBT support groups whom we can reach out to for their help and their experience in dealing with this, because absolutely dealing with it alone is hell and very, very difficult. And I don't, I'll not pass judgment on people in these situations, because it is a totally hellish situation. Even when it comes to intercaste, like somebody who's in an intercaste relationship, but she's forced to marry someone she doesn't want to marry, because the parents don't want her to marry the guy she's in love with. Likewise, so I feel these are terrible situations, and there's a lot of custodial, I call it custodial torture. Custodial torture is not just when a police guy is torturing you in custody. Can you hear me? Again, that call is cutting in. Oh,
Yes, we can hear you.
yeah, I just want to send a message to that person. Yeah, I've sent a message to them saying don't call now. Yeah, so I think that, it's a very real problem, the torture that is put on that individual is actually family custodial torture. So it's torture inside the household with the woman or the LGBTQ person, where they are threatened and forced and all of that. The only answer I can have is that, or if we know about someone in such a situation, or if you're a person in such a situation, reach out for help to others also, whom, organizations and so on. At least, the internet world is such that it's usually possible to find some group somewhere that is willing and able to help. If any of you need that kind of help or advice, you can reach out to me through Titya, and I can certainly connect you up with
I would
such
like
issues.
to add one thing.
Yeah.
Related to the family members, have the affection with our family members, but still, when we are a queer person, and it becomes difficult how we can choose family people, or we got failed, how we can choose in between our family members and in our.
It is very, very difficult, but I would only say that, look, for family members also, it's a journey, but you as a person should never have to you should never, it's not fair on you or anyone to be in a position where you have to fear losing the love of family members because you are gay, or you are in love with someone, or whatever. So the point is that the system is at fault, right? It's not, you will continue to love that family member, but you will have to stand up for yourself, find the help you need, and tell the family members that, look, I love you, but I can't, my life is my life, and I have to live my life by my truth. And I will continue to love you. I'll continue to wait for you to accept me. But meanwhile, I will have to live my life freely. I know it's not easy. Believe me. But we have to, I really would encourage that to take the step to find the help you need in order to live your life by your truth. Okay. And anything that, and there are many groups that are willing to help, that can help. And, and parents, sometimes they come around later, it takes time. Sometimes it takes many years, but sometimes they also grow, they also learn. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Manisha. Can you please sign for Rashmi? Yeah, I see her. Yes, Kavita, although a lot more questions are coming, but I think this one and then one more, and then we wrap up. I know it's been a...
Okay. No, it's fine for me. I'm happy. I'm so glad. And I love it when so many people are participating.
Okay, thank you. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, can I begin? So for example, my parents, they have me being a daughter. So whenever we go outside, we have to take the permission, right, of our parents. But do you think that we can also have that kind of a right where the boys don't ask the parents, and who have the more power, who add the supremacy? I'm confused whether we need to ask the permission, whether we are allowed to go without asking permission, whether our brothers have the supremacy.
I got it. See, I think that an adult person should not have to ask for permission. If you are an adult, you shouldn't have to ask permission to do whatever you want to do in your life. Unfortunately, if adult women are having to ask permission either in their parents' house or in in-laws' house, it's not a fair situation. So I feel as though if there is such a situation, it is better to try and challenge it. Try and say that, look, very respectfully, it is possible to challenge it, to say that, look, I am an adult and I do need to do these things. I don't have to ask permission for everything in order to go out. And, if it is a parent's house, it can be, spoken to the parents. Maybe some other adult who is more understanding can help the parents to understand this. Maybe if it is in-laws house, then the husband can be, first be brought on board, and then you can explain to the in-laws also, etc. There's no easy solution, but I do think that if we accept this kind of bondage forever without challenging it, then we are basically living our precious life as half of ourselves, right? We are not expressing ourselves. We are not exercising our freedoms. And that's not a good situation. It means it will create resentment and hurt later in life. Yeah. Anyone else? Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I know there are lots of questions.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tulsi here. So I would like to ask you,
Okay.
there is a women's group or a male group, both are, working, and there is a system that a male and female has to marry. So whenever they will find a woman is finding a person they would like to get married, and we have the law, but it's like I'm not saying that we have to fight for the things, but sometimes they say that they will get married, and they will ask them that what will you do after the marriage. So they will say that we would like, wife would say that we would like to live separately. We would not like to live with the in-laws. But they are parents of, they are my parents. If my wife is asking that they would not like to, live with in-laws, so how we can do that thing, But they will say, no, we would like to, stay separately. What could be the answer in this question? And wife is demanding such things.
Yeah. The point is, I think the only, obviously, these are personal decisions, and there's no one size fits all answer, right? But I just think that the thing to do would be not to see it as a demand from the wife, but to try and understand where she's coming from, why she's feeling that way, and to find out, is it possible to live? Is it maybe because the parents can be sometimes conservative? Sometimes it can be difficult for a young woman to adjust suddenly to in-laws and their understanding of the world. Okay. So my point is that the husband has a very big role to play there, where if it is possible to stay separately but close to the in-laws and take care of them while living separately, that would be ideal. If not, if you are constrained, there is only one home, your parents don't have another home, they're going to live with you, you should also think, no, that the woman also has parents, but her parents, they can't live sometimes, na, with you. So who are they going to live with? They're also elderly, but it's not understood they will live with their child, right? If they don't have a son. No? So I think it's just a question of trying to see whether some arrangement can be worked out where you can take care of parents, but also give the wife a little privacy and autonomy of her own, right? If they are all living in the same house and you're all living together, then you'd have to take extra pains to make sure that your parents also kind of, don't force things on your wife, and at least your wife should have the confidence, the wife should have the confidence that my husband has my back, no? So parents, anything reasonable that they need and all of that, absolutely, but sometimes there are communication gaps because there is such a difference of culture between elderly people and a young woman, right? So just to be on her side and tell her that, look, even if they say something, you don't have to obey everything that they say. You can listen to them and with respect, but we don't have to live life like they do. So let them say what they have to say, but leave it to me. I will explain to them that, look, that's okay. You were that way, but my wife is not going to be that way. So let's just accept it and we will live together as a loving family, right? So no easy solutions, but basically, not to make anybody feel accused and feel alone. That's all.
Oh, sorry. Can you please sign for Gyanta? There she is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, when a child is getting older and getting 5 or 6 years older, so I would
Can't hear. I'm not able to hear
I'm
the.
just trying to understand.
Okay. Huh.
Okay, so she's saying that, yeah, children who are of the age of 5 years old, we need to, explain the things to them, but who are above 14, they can have their groups and they can have the discussion, and we have to encourage them to meet their friends. So is it okay that we should not force the adult one to follow such things if we require to? And second thing, if the children is more than 14 years old, sometimes we should not force them, right? So we have to explain them by pampering them, and also so that they can easily consult and they can easily share things with us.
I agree. Yeah, fully. You're so right, Nanada. Absolutely. Yeah. Next. Yeah.
Shalu. Yeah.
Shalu. Yeah.
Okay. I think her video is break. I would like to add what Roses said, like when there are two daughters. The video is frozen. She is just checking her internet.
No, she's having trouble now.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll try to come back to her. But for now, can we go to, can you sign for Varsha, please? Okay, while we wait, okay, there she is.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's here.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So Varsha is here. Okay. So your presentation so wonderful, and it has actually impacted us as well. So I was just thinking that, and also I would like to share some things with you. So in school, we have children of all kind of age, and in colleges we have adults. In family and in family also. So
Yeah.
people used to live with their relatives and family members. So the main important thing is here, when whatever the social media you use, we need to spread across the awareness related to feminism and the so that people would know about it, and so that they can easily implement that thing. So on Facebook, on YouTube, on Instagram, whenever people would see that, yeah, this is the thing that, yeah, they need to follow. I was just, that's how people can understand about the equality. So I was just thinking, we need male and female to be treated equally, but yeah, for that we need to spread the awareness.
Yeah, absolutely. I do agree with you, and I think that we all need to learn, and unlearn a lot of things, and it's a never-ending process. I mean, even I am talking to you today, but I still learn something new every day, and I unlearn something which I realize is the wrong way of looking or understanding things all the time. So it's a lifelong process. We should embrace the process of understanding ourselves and changing, changing ourselves also. Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, we'll take one last question
Thank
from.
you.
There's Rila Mala here.
Yes. That's the last question we'll take.
Yeah.
Yes, you can start. So I've seen a lot of people in our society, in schools or in workplaces or in colleges. Have you start?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, while we wait, I'm just going to also spotlight Ipsita. Yes, please go, Ipsita. Yeah, she's back. She's back. Let's go back to Rila, ma'am, please.
So in society, whether you talk about the workplace, colleges, hostel, in all the areas, women are getting raped. But and there are females what I mean, male, they are not being getting, I mean, they are not being blamed or doing anything by the police officials, but women are always being blamed, or they are being shamed by the society. How we can solve this situation when male are the society is not blaming male, not at all, they are not judging them, but always judging the female. How we can solve this situation?
Right. I just thought that since I had already told Sitaram that I would listen to him once more, maybe if he wants to say something, he can also quickly say, and then I can reply to both together. Shall we do that?
Oops, yes, definitely. I'll just spotlight him also.
Yeah.
Please. Okay.
Yeah, thank you. I got spotlighted, then I got removed from it. Okay, now I'm here. So first, I have asked the question already to you, and the second one, in India, we have different cultures. People used to wear different kind of clothes according to their culture. So who are living in city or in villages? Male are living in city and villages also. So when they get married to a female or a male who are living in the another culture, and if they would say that, please, we feel ashamed in our village area, you have to wear this thing, and you are not allowed to wear that particular clothes, you have to have the dupatta and the saris. Please respect our community and our culture and change for once. But sometimes female will say, no, I will not accept to that fact. So is it the right thing if they are denying to accepting the culture?
Right. It's very good question, Sitaram. So I'll answer both of you together. See, what Nilamala asked is about, this double standards and how to challenge them. And really, there's no easy way, right? I mean, the fact that women are judged for every little thing that they do. What clothes have you worn? What clothes have you not worn? People are judging you based on your looks. People think that they can tell you, like I'll tell you, if I express an opinion and someone doesn't like my opinion on social media, then instead of saying, okay, we don't agree with you based on this, they just, they don't have an answer. So they say, shakal dekhi apni, your face is so ugly, so you have no right to speak. So why are you judging me as a woman based on my face? You may not like my face. I may not like your face. We don't have to like each other's faces. We can discuss the disagreement based on ideas, right? But that kind of comment is made more to women than to men. Okay, so men are attacked in other ways on social media. But to women generally, it will come down to this. If you're if you're contesting election also, they'll say that, acha, we'll comment on your looks, we'll comment on your clothes, we'll comment on whether you covered your head or not, whether you wore sindoor or not, etc. If you wear a hijab, you are wrong. If you don't wear a hijab, you are wrong. If you cover your head with pallu, you are wrong. If you don't cover your head, you are wrong. So somebody or the other will always be judging. Nah? That's not a good thing. So can't we be, we have to keep challenging it, what to do. And I keep telling people that, why don't we try and be kinder to each other, be understanding of each other. So Sitaram's question, about what about in a rural area if you are not used to it. Now, the point is, I find, I have spent a lot of time in rural areas in various parts of the country, including southern India as well as North India, long periods of time. And I have understood that when I live in rural India, when I live in a village in Bihar or Jharkhand, I don't cover my head. I wear what I normally wear. Okay. My point is that people in the village also adjust. Shuru mein they will say things. Maybe more so the in-laws will say, some people may comment. But after some time they get used to it. Now they understand that, and there also the husband can help a little bit by saying that, look, you listen to her and accept her for who she is. Understand her ideas rather than just judging her by her clothes or behavior. No? So a modern girl who is brought up in a city may not like to cover her head in ghungat and go. No? Or she may want to wear a jeans and top and just be normal. I have seen many girls like this. Recently, I was in Assam near Kaziranga, and there were villages of a tribal community there. And the boy and girl who were guiding me, I had gone to help them with something. So they both, she was from a different place and she had got married to this guy and come and lived with his community. So she didn't dress like women of his community. She wore jeans and top and skirt and top or something. She didn't wear the typical kind of Adivasi kind of sari that they wear. So she said that initially there would be so many questions, but they would be patient. They would answer smilingly and they would say, look, I'm not used to wearing those clothes, but I would love to understand from you about how to, learn other things like cooking food. What dish do you know? Let me learn that. So many things. And she started teaching children there. And soon they know her as the teacher. They don't think of her as being this outsider who is dressed different. They accept her saying, oh, Falana ki, she's the wife of so-and-so, she teaches our children. Good. So I just feel, change will happen. Let us respect the ability of people to change and accept differences. If you force girls, if women and girls continuously, if you force them to accept whatever rules and regulations society is forcing on them, it becomes very suffocating for women. So better to be a little more accommodating, a little more accepting, and say that try to judge people based on their conduct rather than on their clothes or whether they are agreeing with all the, following all the rituals and rules or not. That's all. That's my feeling anyway, but I'm sure that we can continue the conversation some other time and keep talking to each other. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Can you please sign for Charu to turn her video on, please? Oops. Just one moment, please. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much for today's presentation. Actually, your presentation had a great impact on everyone. So I visualized something else and it was something else today. So, we would like to have this kind of workshop once again. I hope whenever Kavita ma'am is free and the other people are free. So we would like to have this kind of session once again. We were so glad to attend this session, and also this was the accessible one. I know there were some people who would like to ask questions, but so sorry we could not have you now because we are already running late. So we would have another session once again when all are free. And I would like to thank you, Gather Sisters, Tithya. Thank you so much for organizing this one. And Kavita ma'am, thank you so much for accepting this request. Tithya and
Thank you all.
organizers and everyone, and also the participants who being patient and being here for all the time. Thank you for your patience. And also the interpreter.
Thank you, everybody. And I'm sorry, Ikshita. I couldn't take your question this time.
Thank you so much. Charu, you did an excellent job in organizing it.
We would have the feedback form. Yes, Tithya, you were saying something.
I was just going to say, Charu's doing amazing work. Please ask the participants to fill the feedback form, and then we can organize more similar sessions. Yeah.
Thank you all.
We have feedback form. We will just set up people who I know them. I will send the form to them. It will just take a couple of minutes to fill the form. It's an accessible one. Please fill that form. That will help us to do better in the future.
Bye, guys.
Thank you, Kavita. Thank you so much for your time. This was just brilliant. Absolutely. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you, Manisha. Thank you, Saurabh. Thank you, Charu. You did an amazing job. Amazing. All right. I think we'll wrap it up now. Everybody, thank you so much to Charu. Thank you to all the audience members. Please fill the feedback form, and we will organize more sessions on different topics when we understand what you want, what you need, and how we can improve. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, everyone. Good night. Good night.
Good night.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you so much. Thanks, everyone. Bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.